Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking about studying, and I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to master and ace an exam. So without further ado, let's get started. So I would like to say first of all that for me, I've been studying for around 8 years in university. So I've been forced to read a lot, and I think one of the main points that we tend to do wrong when we are younger is to highlight or underline text that we have to read. So my tip is to learn how to highlight, and that sounds maybe a bit stupid, but what I mean by that is sometimes when we do, we tend to highlight everything. We think that everything is important, so we have to be able to subtract the key information and the keywords. So I would advise you guys to only highlight the keywords and try to make sense of those keywords so you can grasp the idea of the text. The next tip I would give you is to make summaries. So once you have read the text, highlight the text, now it's time to summarize the content. So I advise you to do it by writing it down. To me at least, it helps me a lot to see it, read it, and then write it down myself. That way I'm making sure that I'm focused on reading and understanding what I'm doing instead of just reading and trying to memorize right away. Also for me, because I'm a really visual person, it's important to use bright highlighters and use a lot of colors for summaries. I brought also some examples over here from when I was studying my bachelor's, and as you can see, I mean you can see a bit, but I use a lot of colors. To me, it's more exciting to see my notes because they're pretty colorful and it's more interesting than just like plain black or plain blue ink. And also because it helps me memorize and visualize things better. Apart from doing summaries, I would advise you guys to also try to be schematic and try to make schemes of everything as much as you can, to the point that you are starting with a huge amount of text and you end up with schematic information that you can see in one page or in just one look. Here an example of a subject that I struggled a lot in uni, that it was immunology. I thought it was super hard, and what I did, because I struggled so much with it, I started doing my notes instead of like vertically, I did them horizontally, and I tried to do it really schematic, as you can see in here. So I was able to understand and see the main topic. I also use, as you can tell, a lot of colors, but it's basically that's what I'm talking about. Just trying to be schematic and summarize as much as you can in one page. That way you know where you have to go back and if you want to go over it as well. Another tip that I have for you guys is, once you have read the text, highlighted the text, summarized the text, try to be as schematic as possible. I would advise you guys before the exam, so you should do this around the week before the exam or so, try to do a mini summary that could be like the one I have here for the same subject, immunology. That I did it with half of a page, and I just wrote down the main information that I didn't want to forget, and I actually wrote down to myself to not forget. But that way you can have like a last glance before the exam, and you can see that I do this with not really a lot of sense or a lot of color, but just because I want to revise only this paper before going in the exam. So I think it's really important that you go through all these steps and end up with a page like this. And finally, and as a consequence, it's not going to be as hard as you might think to study, because if you follow all these steps, when you have to memorize all the information, it's not going to be the first time that you see this information. It's going to be maybe the 4th, 5th time that you're working with it. That way, when you have to memorize, it's nothing that comes brand new, but it comes from something that you have already studied and integrated in yourself just by doing these notes and making these really good schemes and summaries. So that was the end of the video, and for me honestly this method works really well. I've been studying, as I said, for so many years, and I managed to perfectionate this method, and I can tell you guys that it does work, and for me it makes a huge difference, because when I'm confronted with an exam I don't feel so frightened as I used to be when I was 18, and now I'm able to just take things more maturely and more precisely and just get the main information into my brain so I can go to the exam and succeed. So thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe here down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!